Hi there. So this is part 2 of part 1 of birds in flight. The part 1 we showed the top view of the bird. In this particular video we're going to show the 3/4 view of birds in flight. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to start with your line of action, or your directional line of the bird that's in flight. So in this particular case I'm going to draw a bird coming in this direction. And I'm going to do it with his wings will be going up. So what I'm going to do is the first line will be the foreground wing. Then you draw a parallel line right next to that one. And then we're going to cap that off at the top. Now remember, if you're drawing these lines, that one looks kind of heavy, but that's just so I can show you guys when you're drawing. But you want to draw kind of light. And the reason why is you're going to end up erasing these lines when you're done. So I'm going to draw another line back here. And again, a parallel line. Now you could go all the way through like that, but you're going to end up erasing that anyway, so I would just kind of stop right there. Just as long as this line and this line are fairly parallel. The next step that you're going to do is you're going to show where the wing folds. So there's a fold there, and you want to kind of get the approximate location, over here, so that it would match on this side. So you don't want to have a fold way up there or way down here, because they would be uneven. Okay, so the next thing after that, what you want to do is go ahead and think about the body of the bird and just kind of draw like a simple little oval shape, just kind of show some mass. Doesn't have to be anything particular. I do like to draw kind of a circle right in front of where these two wings would meet. I want to show a circle, and that's not to show the head. That's actually just to kind of show where the approximate location of where the head would begin from behind. So in other words, if that's a circle there, I'm going to bring this line down and then add a little beak and then bring this up. So now that kind of shows the front of the bird. And then on the wings, what you want to do is where that fold is at right here, we are going to bring a line up. And then see how it kind of flares out a little bit? That's that leading feather. We'll draw another one, and as I'm doing this, you'll see I'm starting to kind of go this direction. We'll do a third one, and then finally we'll just kind of do this back-angled one, and then we start scalloping down. Same thing on this side. So when you're drawing this one, I'm trying to do this so that my hand doesn't get in the way. Draw this up, kind of down, another one. We'll do a third one, and kind of like a last little corner feather in there. And then as you're going down, it's going to start to scallop. Just like that. Okay. Then what we want to do is what I like to kind of do is where this line is at, that's kind of where the bone in here, there's two bones. Let's go ahead and kind of bring that in and just kind of add a little bit, so it's not so rigid. It has a little bit more like a curvy kind of thing. It's not so straight. You kind of see where the bones would fold. It's not fold, but separate. All right. So remember we talked in the first video, if you saw, there's these things called coverets. Those are the feathers that just kind of go over like that. I just draw little scallop lines. And then where these are at, I'm going to bring this in with a line. And I just kind of like bring that in with a little flick. You don't have to go too crazy, and too tight. We're just kind of sketching. Just like that. Okay? Just slide that over. And again, on this side, we got to draw the underside of those coverets. So let's just do it like this. And then this line comes in. Just like that. And these feathers all kind of come down and they meet right where those coverets are at. And where these scallops were at, they're not really pronounced. I'm going to pronounce them a little better. There we go. And then I'm going to bring where those scallop points come in, that's where the feathers would kind of ride in. All right, cool. So those are starting to look like feathers. If you wanted to, you could really kind of go in and just kind of detail that out a little better. Draw over my lines a little bit, make it a little bit heavier. Just do that. And again, when you're drawing these boxes, you want to draw it as lightly as possible because you're not going to really want to see the box. Sometimes they look cool when you show the boxes. It kind of shows how you developed it. But for the most part, I don't really want to see them. Bring this down, kind of focus on the beak. Okay, and then I'm going to bring this back. And then as this tapers back, you see how it kind of is fat in the front, kind of streamlines towards the back. You're not really going to see the feather, the whole flat feather span like you would if you were looking at it from the top. You're kind of looking at it from a 3/4 view. So let's just go ahead and just kind of make this shape. And then all you have to do is just draw some lines that kind of go in, just a couple of them. Just like that. And if you wanted to, you could kind of taper that. All right. And you can just draw a little dot for an eye. And now you have a nice bird in flight. If you wanted to go through and just kind of lightly erase these, it's good to use, if you're using a mechanical pencil, it's good to use the eraser that's in the back of there. However, that one's been worn down. If you're using a regular pencil, just not a mechanical one, that's fine too. Just keep your point really sharp and, really kind of keep that to a nice edge. That way you can get these nice crisp lines. You don't want it to be too dull on the pencil tip. You won't get such a crisp line. And you just, you want to sketch it out. Now, this is a pretty tight sketch. You could sketch this real loosely, too, and it would look really, really cool. But I mostly just wanted to kind of show you the mechanics of like a bird in flight. So this is the first bird. It came out pretty cool. Real simple. Didn't spend like a ton of time on it. It's not intended to be a full-blown drawing. If we were doing that, we would probably reference a real bird or a photograph to get all those details in. This is as if you were just kind of sitting around outside or at the beach and you see a bird. Once you start understanding these bird wing positions, you can easily capture the essence of a bird that you see flying around. And I'll show you a couple more views. So that's with bird wings up. This will be with bird wings down. So we'll do the same bird. There's that line of action to kind of mimic that. Now what we're going to do is show the wings kind of going down. So let's see. I want him. We'll do this. Remember, there's their rectangle, and then we'll draw the other rectangle back here. That's the front of the foreground wing. This is the background wing. Draw the fold in the middle. Once you have that, you can draw a line that goes on top that kind of represents the top of the back of the bird. And again, I'm going to add, well, here's a little bit of, we're going to add that shape. And I like to kind of add that circle in there. That gives me a sense of where right behind, like where the head would start. And then I'm just going to kind of draw that head in there real lightly, add a little beak, and bring that in. So there's his little beak, here's his head, there's the back of his back. And again, the wing itself, the tail itself is going to kind of come out, and we're going to bring that in. Okay, just kind of like this shape, like that. All right, now for the fun part, when you're doing the wings. So when we're doing these wings, my hand's not in the way. All you have to do is when you hit to this corner right here, let's kind of smooth this out though, so it's not so straight, and then we'll bring this down. And then this is just one feather, and you don't have to rush this. It's good if you can get to a point where you can just kind of do these continuous lines and not so sketchy. I do a lot of the little sketches like that, but it's good if you take your time and you get to the point where you can just kind of do this as a continual line. I think you'll have a little bit more control and a lot more fun. You can do the sketchy part. There's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes when you draw these continuous lines, you kind of see it come to fruition really nicely. So again, the coverets are right here. Bring that in. Here's another set right there. This is basically that bird with his wings down. So I'm going to go ahead, just kind of tighten up this a little bit. Come back here, bring a line in, a line in, a line in, and bring that up. Maybe kind of tighten that up a little bit. Okay, that's his tail feathers. I'm going to darken this up a little bit. There we go. Nice. Do this. Looks good. All right, and there's his belly part here under his neck. We'll draw that beak kind of coming down, and then I'll just do another eye. So there's your other bird with his wings going down. If you wanted to add these lines in here, that would be great. You can kind of bring them up if you wanted to. And then I'm just going to kind of go like this. And under here, they're just going to kind of go up. All right, so let me get my eraser and just lightly erase this area. So you can kind of see it without all those lines all over the place. Although the lines do look kind of cool, I think. All right, so now we have a bird with his wings up, and a bird with his wings down, which is pretty cool. So let's do a totally different view. Let's do a third view. Let's say, okay, this is the side view. Maybe I want to show this bird with his wings not quite up, not quite down, but somewhere in the middle. So what we could do is I want to show that line of action or the direction that the bird's going into. And that would be if he's flying this way. Draw real lightly. All right, now all you'd have to do is this, is draw a wing going this way and another wing going this way, and then draw the parallel line on the other side. Okay, draw a line there, a line here, and then draw a line here, and a line here. Okay, it looks kind of like an airplane, sort of, and really that's where people got the ideas for doing airplanes, was from birds, Da Vinci and Wright brothers. So it's really pretty awesome. So now what we want to do is go ahead and I'm going to draw just a little circle in here. Gives me an idea of where to push that head forward. But what we're going to do is kind of show the back of the bird right here, these lines right here. It gives you the width of the body too. So this is kind of similar to what we were doing when we were showing the top views of the birds. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll just kind of bring this head down, show a little beak right here, and then bring that back. Okay, so that's going to be his head. All right, now let's focus on these wings. We'll draw a line and a line. This is where the wings are going to fold naturally. So what we can do is, I want this to kind of come in. I don't want it to be too straight right here. I don't want to follow that rigid line. Although some birds do have pretty rigid wingspan. So we're going to bring this out and then just kind of start tapering that. And they look like little daggers almost. And then we'll just kind of start bringing that in. And here's that scallop effect all the way to the back. Do the same thing on this side, except this one's going to be a little more foreshortened. Kind of the wing, the tip of the feather kind of goes up. Okay, and then there's that scallop. Comes all the way back. All right, and here's his back. And then what we can do is we can show the tail feathers. And what I like to do is bring a line out and a line out here from his body. And then what we can do is kind of draw like this triangular shape, but then curve the back of it so that it meets like that. Once you've gotten that far, what we can do is bring the back of the body in like this. And what I like to do when we're seeing that top view of the fan shape of those tail feathers is just kind of bring them in like this. The same thing on this other side, but I don't want to be in the way so you can see. So I'll try and stay out of the way. All right. So now we're getting really to see this bird in flight. So let's go ahead and just kind of clean this up a little bit. Show his eye right here maybe. Here's his beak. Okay, we'll bring his body, connect it there. Okay, and remember we've got these coverette type things happening, so they're going to be like here, and then they kind of really go down low. And depending on the bird though. If it's a smaller bird, then these coverets would be much tighter up here. This maybe is a little bit of a bigger bird, so. Okay, now what we're gonna do is really just kind of bring these feathers in. Rotate the paper a little bit. Okay. And let's go ahead and kind of finish these lines off, make them nice and solid a little bit. Again, this is just a sketch. If we were doing a full-blown drawing, it would be much bigger and definitely have more detail. And then on the back in here, if you wanted to, you could kind of indicate, just by doing little dots, these coverets on the back. All right, so that is basically the other bird in flight. So if I wanted to kind of erase some of these lines so you could really see it better. All right, so as I mentioned, it's great to be able to shape these things out by showing a directional line and then coming off the sides, kind of showing like the wings and kind of boxing them out and really finding their form before you even start really even drawing, any detail at all. You know what I mean? So you don't want to spend time in the very beginning doing all the detail work, because you really kind of have to get the basic shape down. And so like what I do is if I'm eating lunch in the back porch or something and I've got some binoculars back there, if I see a bird, I'll look at the bird with binoculars. I've been practicing a ton of sketching with these birds, and it's great because the reason I do that with the binoculars is, all these birds are different. It's a blue jay, it could be a hawk. Well, they all have different features specifically, but what's really great is that once you get the basic shapes down in the composition of what builds these birds, you can just draw without looking at pictures. You can look at a bird and kind of sketch it out because they're so quick. They land there. Take a look at some of the details, try and sketch out maybe those details on the side, the specific feathers and how they look and the shape of the beak. But the basic body shape is pretty much the same. I mean, some of the more soaring birds, the bigger birds, they have additional kind of feather groups. But for the most part, most birds you can break it down into this kind of shape. So I hope that helped. Just to let you know too, practice does make perfect. I've been drawing, a lot of different birds over the last few days, just kind of really trying to understand, their different shapes. Rotate that just to give you an idea. Here's another one, from the top. So practice really does make a difference. Here's some more that I hadn't worked on. So it really makes a big difference. And then the nice part is you can kind of see your progress if you do it in a sketchbook. So to give you an idea, this was some of my first preliminary sketches, and I wasn't really that happy with them. I mean, I was happier than what they looked like originally, which was really rough. And I'm going to show you the rough ones. So here's some of the rough ones. So here is where I was really just starting to kind of figure out, some of these shapes and stuff. And it just was a little awkward at first, but then I just kept practicing and I got it down. So I hope this helps. I hope you enjoyed this. Here's your different types of birds that you can draw, different shapes. Please let me know if you have any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them. Thanks a lot. And I hope you enjoyed this lesson. So have a great day and keep on drawing.